Hi guys, it's Amy and I'm here today to kind of do a different video in the sense of I'm changing from doing monthly wrap-ups to doing like a weekly kind of currently reading, have read and will be reading. If I'm honest, cannot be physically bothered or asked to sit down and film like a 20-minute video about 9 or 11 books, and which some of them I don't really know all about like all too well because I read them at the beginning of the month and I didn't really like them, and therefore I kind of zone out when I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say about that book. So I find the process of doing a monthly wrap up, even though I've only done 2 or 3 so far, really kind of annoying and stressful. So I think I'm just going to do shorter videos, which I like to do, which are easy to film and also easy to edit. I really hate editing. If you haven't noticed, I try and do it in one cut, and I don't like to put in pictures of books that I'm reading on Audible and so on and so forth. So this is how it's going to go on for now. This is week 1, and let's get into the books. So the first book I finished this week, and this is kind of a Bookbusters wrap up because the Bookbusters finished today, which is Friday the 6th of October. And that is Philip Springer's History of a Disappearance, the Story of a Forgotten Polish Town. So I got this one completely wrong. I thought this was just about the idea of a town kind of disappearing, so changing from different kind of countries and states as borders kind of moved either side of this town, and kind of it just being swallowed up by something else. It literally got swallowed up by the goddamn earth. So what had happened was there was when Soviet Russia kind of took over this area of Poland, or what became this area of Poland, they found uranium in the mines under the town, and they just haphazardly dug these kind of shafts right under the town without any kind of thought about how the town was going to hold itself up. And then eventually the town just started sinking into the ground in places and being uninhabitable, and all the inhabitants had to be moved. I think the town is still there in some sense. I think it has 80 people living there. But yeah, this is all a book about the lives of people who lived there through the ages, and the kind of stories they tell, you know, modern day tales they tell from people who've actually had to move out of the town due to it sinking into the ground. It was wonderful. It was a really lovely surprise, actually, not knowing that was going to happen until about a quarter of the way through, and it said about like a bit of like some horses sank into the ground while someone was like farming, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? But I really enjoyed it. I found the last bit of it less interesting. So the last bit of it's talking about like the town physically disintegrating. And although that might be interesting to some, I actually love like the earlier historical kind of stories about, you know, I can't remember names off the top of my head because they're quite, you know, different names, but like Joseph, you know, skiing down the roads in, you know, 19th century Poland. And I found that more charming than I did the last bit. So I only gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I say only 4 out of 5 stars. It's a really good read for me. So there's that one. The next one I picked up was unfinished. Was Ernest Hemingway's A Movable Feast. So this is all about kind of Ernest Hemingway in like 1960s. He reminisces on his time in Paris and people he met, the stuff he wrote, and the cafes he wrote in, and drank some wine in Café Clemson. This was an okay read. It was a 3 out of 5 stars. I find Hemingway kind of hits and misses, and misses more than he hits. I really loved Fiesta, The Sun Also Rises, and that's like one of my favourite books ever. But I found his shorter ones like The Old Man and the Sea, and the one I've done recently, which is The Snows of Kilimanjaro, just kind of meh. This one was a kind of a high 3 out of 5 stars, just because I, as I've probably mentioned before, I spent some time in Paris studying, and a lot of the places he was talking about and the places he lived, and even this cafe was like on the corner of where I was living, the boulevard where I was living. So I found it really, really kind of romantic and really lovely and nostalgic for me. So I think I enjoyed reading it, but only through that kind of angle. I think if I hadn't have had those experiences, I think it would have been a lesser read for me. But it was interesting as well seeing him talk about F. Scott Fitzgerald towards the end, because he sounds like an idiot. I mean, Fitzgerald, and you hear about him as this lauded author. But he sounds like such an annoying git in this book, so I found that kind of comical. But yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was kind of enjoyable, and you know, very special for me, and you know, in particular. So that was that one. The book I'm reading at the moment and hope to finish today, so then I've read 3 books for Bookbusters, is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. And I collect the Red Spine kind of hazy editions, and I found this one is particularly beautiful. So this is all about Mrs. Ramsey and Mr. Ramsey taking their family and kind of other kind of friends to the Isle of Skye for a little holiday. And it's all about, so far, the relationships and the friendships and the bonds between all these different people, and kind of it's a reflection on family life. So far it's a little bit of a drag. It's only 170 pages, and I think I'm about coming up to halfway through. But I'm just finding it a little bit of a drag. Sometimes, it's the same with Hemingway. I find Virginia Woolf, sometimes I'm really, really up for reading her, and sometimes I'm just like, like, your moment of being in stream of consciousness is kind of interesting, but also a bit of a drag. I think in hindsight, I think I'll review and put the stars up for this one more than I am at the moment. It's feeling a 3-star, but it could have potential to be a 4-star, so we shall see. In terms of what I will continue to read, there's that. There's also the chunker I keep talking about, which is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. I will be picking this up again. Now I've done kind of an intense readathon, I will be slowing down and picking this one up now and again. I'm also reading, I can't remember his name, but it's The Nix. That book I'm reading on Audible, and it's really enjoyable. I'm loving it. I was listening to it at work because I'm one of those odd people that can like listen to something and take it in and also research. I'm a market analyst, so I do a lot of research for my job. And I can do both of them, but then my whole team started doing it because I think I was a bad influence and so was another person on the team, and everyone just started listening to their headphones or listening with their headphones. And then we got pulled up by some kind of internal stakeholders and managers who were like, it doesn't look good, you know, you got customers coming in and people seeing you on your headphones. And I was like, gee fucking whiz. Like, it's just people not understanding that, you know, younger generations and other people actually can work this way, and that it's not a negative thing. We're actually just really concentrating in on what we're doing. So we've got our knuckles wrapped a little bit, and I now can no longer listen to my audiobooks at work, or anything for that matter, unless it's, you know, very infrequent. So that one's taken a bit of a backseat. Maybe I'll listen to it over this weekend, but I'm really enjoying that. And then what I'm looking to get onto next is, excuse me, I've got an itchy nose, is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Half of a Yellow Sun. It looks like I've started this. I've read like the first 4 pages. I wanted to see what it was like and whether I would pick up next, but because it's so big and I wanted to see if I could read 3 books for the Bookbusters readathon, I picked up To the Lighthouse. I really enjoyed the first kind of ish chapter of this book. It was wonderful, and I knew I would like the setting, but it really was wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to get into this, and I will be picking this one up hopefully tomorrow if I stay on track with my book I've got at the moment. Other than that, I won't go into much detail about any of the books because I did a whole TBR that's gone up recently. So hopefully this format works. Feels better talking about like 4 or 5 books than 9, 10. I actually know what I'm talking about because I read them recently. I know that's awful that it doesn't kind of sink in, but it's just the way I am sometimes. If I don't enjoy a book, I don't necessarily switch on or tune in sometimes, so it's good to have that immediate reaction. So I guess until next Friday, I'm not going to promise it's going to be every Friday, but until next week, I will speak to you, or not speak to you, but I will see you soon. Blah 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 blah.